Live. I do believe we are live.
Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 20 of Tales from the Ohm with me, Mark, Steve, and our special guest, Paul from Labworks Vapes. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello. Well, I'm good. Big thank you to Paul before we start for joining us this Sunday. He's actually, bless him, away at the minute. It's the guy's 50th next week, and we've interrupted his break.
So we do apologise. He has got a little bit of internet issue here, so if he breaks out a little bit, you know why.
Bear with us.
No, I'm sorry about that, but no, I needed to be here for this show specifically, so I'm here.
No, bless you, Paul. I mean, I'm telling folks now, this is not going to be the usual laughs and giggles. We will still try and have a few, but quite a serious subject this week. Everybody's seen the CDC statements regarding the deaths in America about vaping. We will hopefully be providing a lot more information in the background on this topic, highlighting some of the piss poor journalism that has come out of this, and also going into the problems that are being faced by Australia, especially those at the minute being ramped up by the Health Minister, Mr Hunt. And I'm sure Paul will have a lot more information on this. I've been doing a bit of digging in the last 24 hours, and the amount of information we can find by snapping our fingers or Google Fooing, whichever you want to do, is crazy. And yet we are still getting these stories that aren't referring to the black market THC that people are ingesting and getting lipid bronchial issues with. And I'm just astounded that these people can actually call this journalism and spread the anti-vaping rhetoric that is coming out of the USA, which is now affecting virtually most of the countries with the large vaping population. I mean, I don't know, Paul, how do you feel on that?
How would I put it? The misinformation that's now being spread throughout the world, and the news agencies around the world and how they're reporting it, making it sound like, well, the epidemic is growing and growing and growing. I think they need to shut up straight away and actually start putting out the real information that's actually needed. Both the FDA and the CDC have made statements. The VTA in the United States has also made a statement. CASAR, the consumer advocacy group, has also made a statement. The science is out there proving what has been going on, but that's not being reported in any way, shape or form.
No.
Here in Australia, we've got our own problems with our health minister. He doesn't want to listen. He's sided now with, the Cancer Council. Obviously, he's getting the pharma money to shut him up and to push rhetoric that we don't need. We've already got draconian laws here. And the Cancer Council has now sided with our health minister to shut us up, even after a really positive article that I did with the ABC, or the Australian Broadcasting Commission, here a couple of weeks ago. It's now got to, I think, around the world, it's starting to become critical mass. And unless the people that have been in the industry for quite some time actually step forward, step up to the plate and start advocating for the real news to come out and the truth, we've got problems. It's falling on the UK's ears as well now. You've got it in your media. How? And
it's all that sensation, isn't it? It's the absolute. If anyone has seen, I put up a post up. I've had 2 people private message me asking if they should actually pack in vaping because of the media news. And honestly, I have never been so upset. I genuinely am. It really upset me.
Yeah, I mean, we in the UK we have had no issues whatsoever with the black market THC pods. We've had no reports of any issues. I know Australia's not had any because Paul, we were talking before, and that's the case. All it seems to be is the rhetoric that we're receiving from the States is being used by the antis to reinforce their position. And their position is not based on science, it's based on media, which is always a dangerous thing. I mean,
you've got 2 media organisations in the United States that are pushing this, and they're pushing this so hard that it's getting out to every corner of the planet. You have Bloomberg Media, and then you have our favourite of all, right? And that's Fox or Mr. Murdoch. And you've got Murdoch all through the UK.
Yeah.
And Murdoch is a serious issue. He controls our media. He owns 70% of Australia's media. So what does that start telling you?
It's down to personal agendas. Yeah.
Okay.
But also, I mean, with the in America, the CDC hasn't exactly been forthcoming either, which I find very, very strange.
I think the CDC, this is my own personal view and not something that I'll generally put out there, but I think the CDC are being told to shut up from someone way up higher for specific reasons. And think about this for a minute. They were given 10 months to get all their ducks in a row in the United States for the PMTA process. Yet 3 months into this process, it seems as if all of a sudden we have these problems with the illegal, carts coming out. And I'll go as far as saying that when they did prohibition, the government actually poisoned a lot of the liquor that was being manufactured back then. I wonder if there is a government department or someone within the government that is actually doing the same thing and poisoning the same chalice to upend a life-saving technology. It's a little bit out there, but when you think about it, it makes perfect sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. I mean, exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, you can tinfoil it as much as you want, but it just seems that way. It really does.
Right, sorry guys, can I interject? It's been pointed out I was wrong. There has been an issue with spice in Manchester. That was back in July. And the school children collapsed after inhaling spice that had been unknowingly mixed. It was in Rochdale, and it came in a 10ml e-liquid bottle, but it wasn't labelled, and it appeared to be a sort of homebrew mix of spice and e-juice.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear about that, but this is the other thing that they're not putting out there properly, that a lot of these carts are actually, the majority are THC based, yes, but it's the humectants or the base materials that they're using to cut them with or to stabilize them with, they're the one, that's what the bad stuff is. But K2 and spice in the United States they've been top of the list for what's been going on there. But it's all being put down to illegal THC cartridges, and one company, well, it's a marketing company, being Dank, which is it's a printing company in China, for Christ's sakes. And they're the ones that put out all the packaging. You can go and buy, 1,000 wrappers for X amount of dollars, and then, put them out on the streets, and bada bing, you're off and running.
To the layman, and I'm one of them, because I generally do not understand. We was just about to talk about it prior to us going live. How and what is the mechanism of making from the THC to the vape that they are using? What is the actual mechanism of it? How does it work? How does it actually they produce that type of liquid, so we actually understand what the parts that are causing the problems for actual vaping it?
Okay. First and foremost, there's two main extraction methods for THC extraction. First one is CO2 extraction or gassing it, but there's still a lot of up and down whether or not it actually damages the molecules in the extraction process. The second extraction process is BHO or butane hash oil extraction to get to almost like a wax type compound. If the butane isn't properly extracted from the end product, then you have an issue. The third issue that's starting to appear is tocopherol acetate, otherwise known as vitamin E acetate, which is now showing up in the testing of what's coming back in the cartridges in the US. That's one of the things. That's pennies on the dollar to use that instead of using like PEG 400 or polyethylene glycol, which is another stabilizing agent. These are some of the things that not a lot of people are putting out there properly. The chemistry is there. The chemistry has been solid for many, many years. People have been using these processes to extract like the THC from like either bud or plant for many, many years. But right now, no, it's going the opposite way. And then you have new products that have been coming into the market over the last probably 12 months, or new humectants that people are creating. So it brings the cost of manufacturing down, and it's not only in the THC market. It also falls into the CBD market, which is another issue. But you've got overnight millionaires in this game now, literally overnight millionaires. So they're cutting corners, and they've got to stop. You know, the CDC isn't going after the registered like mass growers over there. Not yet, but maybe things might change. You look at how the United States is now with the legalization of cannabis, both for recreational and for medicinal. It's huge. It's a huge market.
Yeah.
It dwarfs the vaping industry over there. Like dollar for dollar, it dwarfs it. I don't have the figures in front of me, but if you put one in one hand and one in the other, it dwarfs it.
So it's the vitamin E acetate that's actually causing most of the problems, because that's an oil, isn't it?
Well, predominantly yes. If you're using propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin, they don't hold any lipid whatsoever.
Right.
The vitamin E acetate is generally used. It's used in manufacturing and moisturizers and a lot of other pharmaceutical products across the board. But you know, you're playing in a world that if you're working with that stuff, yeah, sure, it's cheaper than a lot of the other like stabilizers and base products that you're working with.
Now, one of the articles I read was explaining that the vitamin E acetate has a much higher sort of boiling point than water. So the reason people are getting problems with the lungs, they were claiming, was that effectively it vaporizes when you vape it, but when it hits the lung, it's actually congealing again. It's becoming a
It
solid.
returns back to its original state. Yeah.
So and that's where we're getting the bronchial issues. Grumpy's just asked in chat, can't both butane and vitamin E acetate be purged?
They can be in manufacturing, yes, but if it's not done in the manufacturing process, it's going to be inherently in the product, the end product.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, I find this absolutely fascinating that we've gone from CDC claiming vaping to, all right, there's a few black pods. Then there was a big backlash on Twitter, especially against the CDC for not releasing more details. And all of a sudden, boomf, all this information suddenly appears to have appeared out of nowhere.
They've always had the information. CDC did a lot of original testing of cannabinoid products in the United States if there were going to be issues. They've always had the science, but they weren't willing to weren't willing to release the truth. They sat on it, and it was blood on the hands. So far, from reports coming out of the US, it's somewhere between 3 and 5 people that have actually passed away now.
It's 5. I think it's been 5 reported now.
Okay, well, it's got to the 5. Pardon me. A very good friend of mine, we had a conversation yesterday, and he said to me that if this got to if it got to 10 deaths, someone would actually go to the president and say, well, enough is enough. Let's shut the vaping industry down.
Yeah.
But it's very convenient that all of this has come out when a lot of us have been vaping for X amount of years and we don't have issues.
I know quite a few people that's been vaping over 10 years. Myself, I've been vaping 8 years.
So
yeah,
we're fine. Where's the, this is what I'm saying. It seems like a very big smokescreen for something that obviously has happened. I actually spoke to one of the girls that was in hospital in Utah, and I started asking questions. She was blatant with me, and she said, no, it was this, this, and this, and then she named the liquid companies, and I thought, really? You're silly enough to tell me the liquid companies? She didn't think I was going to reach out to these liquid companies. Not very smart.
It's interesting what you're saying about a smokescreen, because about 22 hours ago, Gottlieb hit Twitter.
I know, out of nowhere.
Yeah, and interestingly, what he states is the FDA supports notions of harm reduction and the belief that e-cigarettes could be a less harmful tool to help currently addicted adult smokers fully quit cigarettes. The CDC has always been more sceptical of harm reduction concept and the usefulness of e-cigarettes. You may be revealing some of that conflict, and that was in reply to somebody that had tweeted it. Now, don't you find that interesting? We're seeing a splitting, a backing off. Almost an FDA aren't the bad guys. It's the CDC.
Yeah.
Well, look what the CDC stands for. Center for Disease Control.
Yeah. They're not rigged up for this sort of issue.
No.
They're rigged up for the outbreak of a disease, a pathogen.
And there is your epidemic.
Well, yeah. That's just a self-fulfilling prophecy from there on in, isn't it?
Yeah.
The epidemic. Absolutely crazy. I just find it really interesting. Gottlieb's thrown his hat into the ring there.
I think he's done that for a few brownie points to, look over here, I'm doing this, or saying this.
Mm.
In the meantime, he's sitting on the Pfizer board.
Oh, great. You're not kidding.
Hello? Hello?
You still there?
Tell me something. It's not.
Just lost him a little bit. Just a comment from Hip Hop Juice there. Hello, Hip Hop. Like all business fields, people will carry on regardless. Yes, it affects the vaping industry, but I believe it will pass. Sad news about the people passing, but people's choices have consequences. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure whether this will pass.
No, I don't think it will. I really don't. But I also think it's a smokescreen. While we're all concentrating on this, what they're doing on the others, I think it's... Yeah, I think there's something else going off.
Well, you look at the stories now coming out with... Okay, so far you have Chicago banning now. You have Michigan, like the governor of Michigan coming out and throwing the ban in play. Then you had Chicago, and then Buffalo, New York. They've come out and put a 6-month ban on any new vaping business being set up. So it's like, here's a squirrel, look over here at the squirrel while we do this.
Yeah, and I think this is what it is. I really do.
There was another conversation that I had with somebody stating, is this the start of the FDA clamping down on open manufacturing, and whether or not this will go to TPD compliance or down that pathway where it's short pills, one shots, and everything else is controlled by the narrative. That's another big conversation that I've had in the past 24 hours.
Right.
But I was there, handed down, and I couldn't believe it. We had emergency meetings. I was the first one to get a hold of it here in Australia because we're in the future, and I was reaching out to guys on the East Coast, and we were having emergency meetings at 2 a.m. my time, trying to figure out what to do.
Just from Tetley on there, can you confirm that Utah Girl was standard e-liquid use?
Correct.
So it was just normal e-liquid. It wasn't THC.
Apparently, no. Apparently, she was a scapegoat. She was actually put up to it. Someone actually told her to come forward, and I said, well, under freedom of information, I can actually have your medical records pulled. And she said, no, you can't by law. And I said, well, actually you can. I can ask for scans without names and addresses attached to actually see what the prognosis was. And then she got really shirty and said, well, these are the liquids I was vaping and this is what the doctor told me. She was very uneducated for a start. Secondly, I have the full conversation if anyone wants to read it, because I thought it was quite comical. She was round and round in circles because I said to one of the major advocates, I said, look, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, whether it kills me. And I went after her and I said, I need to know what's going on here. And she gave me specific names. And I know two of the companies quite well. One of the companies I did something for a number of years ago. And I said, it's impossible. They're not going to cut corners this hard and fast to make a dollar. So her story didn't add up. It was, I want my 5 minutes of fame.
So, I think we saw that with the young gentleman who claimed that he ended up with lung problems after vaping a pod every 2 days for a year with Juul.
No. But here's the other thing on that one. What else was he doing in that time as well? Because from my understanding, he was also a sportsman. Secondly, he was exceptionally tall for his age. Third thing, how many energy drinks was he downing on top of said pods that he was putting away?
Yeah.
No. So there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to a lot of these stories.
There was a really good article by Neil H. and E Acetate.
Yeah.
And it went into a possible cause for the issues that this gentleman faced. What I find really interesting was he was called out on Twitter because he'd put a post up which conflicted with his timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly, that post disappeared, but it was available when you use the buffer, the time machine on the internet. But blow me, a week after he's made all this hoo-ha to the media, all of a sudden PAVE are so far up his rectal passage, it's unbelievable.
Other things about that is that he was actually paid by PAVE to come up with this rubbish.
Well, there's a surprise. Mind saying that, can I just put a big thumbs up to the guy that actually took the PAVE logo?
Oh, well, I know who that is. That's Matt Salter.
What a guy. He's my hero. To have them accusing him of copyright infringement. So what did Matt do? He wiped up the post which says, please feel free to use our logo. What a guy. Honestly. Brilliant. I had such a chuckle on that one.
Yeah, that was Matthew Salter from memory. He's a bit of a character.
Oh, afternoon, daytime, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
That's a lovely way of putting it. Matt's a blast, gives no cares.
That's it.
Now, while we're talking about the States and the issues over there, I wanted to go back to Michigan just quickly because I actually came across something. I tripped across this. Rashida Tlaib, I believe it is. Now
sounds familiar.
Well, on one of her tweets, she and I quote states, "Calling them vape advocates is misleading. They are corporations. We must stop repeating the lie that vaping is better than smoking cigarettes. It's not. And in an oversight Dems, we are learning that dual vape are targeted young people with flavouring, and then parents vape after that. Now,
so we're all part of Big Pharma. Big Tobacco then.
Apparently I'm owned by Big Tobacco from what someone said yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
See, no, I find this interesting because it was pointed out the other week on the Thursday show. The lady that actually kicked in the flavour ban in Michigan, when you look at the contributors for her actual, what do you call it, contributions to...
Yeah. Tobacco. Tobacco said.
6 million from tobacco. Now, come on.
This is what gets me about them, though. Why are they associating vaping and the vaping industry as Big Tobacco? I still can't understand how they make that. It's almost like we are Big Tobacco and we're not. We've never have been, and we've been saying that for donkey's years.
Actually, Frank in the chat, Daytime Frank, he's a DIYer that I'm very good friends with. He'll tell you that I'm a straight shooter, and I really shoot from the hip. And I'm being a very good boy, and I'm not swearing on your show. And
thank you.
But the bottom line is that we've been called Tobacco 2.0, which is untrue. Because the actual nicotine that we use in our vape products is all pharmaceutical grade, and it's exactly the same nicotine that is used in patches, gums, sprays, and anything else you want to do with the nicotine. If you actually need a rectal suppository, you would use the same nicotine. And that's what a lot of these idiots...
That they need the rectal... Yes, I know. I totally agree with you. They definitely need rectal.
See, I love Frank's comment in there. If I'm a corporation, then where the hell's my tax break?
Hello?
Frank, it's in the mail.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I mean, unless you want to go further, if there's anything else you want to expand on, Paul, maybe we can go over to the problems that you're facing in Australia. Because that ABC podcast highlighted a number of issues that I as a UK vapor, had no idea about.
That was even an eye-opener for me, because after both doing the podcast and the interview, I've had media agencies around the world reaching out to me, wanting to talk to me. Tomorrow morning, my time, I'm actually being interviewed by someone at Monash University, which I'm going to be very coy in that interview. I need to know what is really going on, because Monash, or part of Monash University, is on the side of both the WHO and they're friends with Greg Hunt. So I don't know what the story is with this interview that I'm about to do, and I'm going to keep my guard up, and I really need to filter through the questions. And they haven't, and with the last interview, they gave me a set of questions that they were going to ask, but then they bent it somewhat. But
I suppose you're going to have to hang on. You're going to have to think about every word that you speak.
Well, I actually asked for a Zoom interview with the gentleman, but he declined. And I thought, well, why is this? And he said, I can record this conversation. And I said, well, hang on. I'd like to record the conversation as well, because I'm not going to be held to the narrative on this one. If you're going to turn this around and ask why the Australian government won't legalise nicotine, and you skew my words when this comes out in a publication. And I thought, no, I've got to be very, very careful with this. The ABC interview was eye-opening for a lot of people, and it actually showed the problems that we have here in Australia. We have a government that will not listen. They've put forward an investigation, right? That's what I'm going to call it, an investigation. Yet the final piece of this investigation is not going to be finished until December 2020. And in that period of time, 38,000 smokers are going to die from smoking-related illness. So, Mr. Hunt, if you're listening to this, again, I will say it. You have blood on your hands, son. You have blood on your hands. Why are you taking away a life-saving technology from the Australian public and hiding it behind closed doors? Reclassify nicotine from a Schedule 7 poison in your world to something that can be readily available through all our vape shops, through distributors, but not through the pharmaceutical marketplace, because we don't know whether or not Big Pharma will add their nice little markers to said products. We have groups here. We have ATHRA, which is the Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction, who's headed up by Dr. Mendelsohn. We also have Dr. Alex Wodak, that he's a harm reduction expert. He's the one that actually set up the shooting galleries here in New South Wales and Sydney, Australia. He's the one that has been pushing, as well as Colin, in the background for the legalisation of nicotine. You have Legalised Vaping Australia and their push. You have certain politicians that are willing to back us. But again, Mr. Hunt, oh no, we're not going to talk to the vaping community. We don't want to hear what they've got to say. We would rather do our own little study. Sorry, Mr. Hunt, but the science is out there, mate. It's been there for a couple of years. Go and read the Private College's report that came out in 2016. That vaping is 95% safer than smoking a cigarette. You won't listen. You've never listened. You won't even meet with the vaping community. You won't meet with the heavyweights. You will not meet with the manufacturers, the shop owners. You will not sit down at the table. I'm sorry, mate, but why? Because that's right. You're not a doctor. You're a lawyer. You're taking this under advisement, and I bet you that if we looked into your share portfolio, it's full of pharma money and it's full of tobacco money. Guaranteed. That's how it works. But yeah, it was an eye-opener. There's no two ways on that one.
I mean, when you look at it, obviously I've been doing a bit of digging before the show. Back in 2018, South Australia introduced what can only be described as some hellishly draconian vaping laws. So there was a ban of online email, phone and mail orders.
That comes into effect October this year, yes.
So it's actually coming in this year, right? Now, I mean, ATHRA state in their article on this, it's hard to see that this could have any possible benefit for public health. Instead of ordering from the website of their local vape business, customers will be forced to purchase supplies interstate or internationally from unknown sources. So potentially, they are putting the public more at risk because you're going outside of, as would we. If we started buying liquid from an unknown supplier halfway around the world, we've got no guarantee what's going in, how it's going in, and whether it's being tested. Yeah.
Well, probably the biggest issue we've had here so far, right? And we've asked for meeting time and time again with Greg Hunt. I'm sorry you don't get the title Mr. Hunt in my world. You just get Greg Hunt. A child, an 18-month-old child, passed away here from ingesting liquid nicotine. And that's blood on your hands, I told Minister. You wouldn't sit down with us. You won't legalise nicotine sales, but you'll allow, a 3-month supply of nicotine to be brought into the country, or a 3-month supply of liquid that contains nicotine, as long as you got a prescription. So you're putting it through the same circle again. Back through farm, back through farm, back through farm. You got to go and see a doctor. You got to go and pay a doctor, and then you got to go and pay anywhere up to $100 Australian in shipping to have something brought into the country. Why are we doing this?
I've got to ask the question, and I'm sure it's on most people's mind. What's the accessibility of cigarettes?
5 minutes in any direction.
So they're all right then.
$17 billion a year in tobacco taxes. For a country our size, with 25 million, 26 million population, $17 billion a year in tobacco taxes. Hello? Yeah. He's not even willing to spend 10% of that on THR.
Blimey heck.
It definitely points a finger at where he's thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah. Show me the money, Jerry.
Tell me about it. Now, Paul, can we just clarify this? Because this was a question that popped into my head. The Australian medical system, is that more like the state system, or is that a state-funded system?
No,
like
it's
the
UK.
NHS?
It's same as UK NHS.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting. I thought it was the same as American.
No, it isn't. Well, we're still part of the empire, as I say.
All right, so you didn't throw any boxes of tea into the harbour.
No, look. No, we're still part of the UK. If you look everywhere, we've still got the Queen on our coins and everything like that. That hasn't changed. Same as Canada in some ways. They're still attached to, Britain in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, to be fair though, mate, we had an idiot involved in healthcare called Hunt as well. Luckily, we got rid of ours.
Yeah, that name Hunt keeps on coming up, doesn't it?
We just got to change it to a C and we'll be all fine.
Have a look up on YouTube and whacking Jeremy Hunt name slip, because they were
Otherwise,
doing
Good Morning Britain or something, wasn't it?
They were doing a very serious political point, and she swapped the H for a C live on air. And
Who dropped it? Oh, that would have been hilarious.
The journalist was absolutely mortified, bless her.
Was good, I saw that.
So, and we're not just talking the ban of online sales. It would appear that there's some hellish in-store restrictions as well. So there's no in-store vaping. There's no taste testing.
No.
Yeah,
you can't. You're not meant to actually help someone set up their device.
Yeah, they've taken that from America as well, haven't they?
So
this is the really interesting part. We have two big groups of tobacconists. Okay. I'm not going to name them, but I'll do that after the show. Yeah. One of them has over 200 stores throughout Australia. And they've actually set up a section in their shop called Vape SQ now. Right? And they're all selling vape gear and crap liquids, but no one knows how to operate them. You walk in there, right? You're Joe Bloggs. Right? You walk to a tobacconist and you say, "Well, what's this?" Oh, that's $85 for a shit bloody pen setup, but they can't tell you how to operate it.
oh God,
He's crazy, isn't he? Absolutely crazy.
Jesus Christ. Now, I mean, Paul mentioned this yesterday when we were talking prior to the show. I never realised how much farmers comes out of Australia.
I'm sorry to the rest of the world, but yeah, we screwed up, people.
It wasn't personal, Paul. Come on. No, we were talking about. Right, let me just make sure I get this right. Tasmanian alkaloids.
Yep.
And I just had a quick flick on the Wikipedia page. It's the largest opium poppy processing company in the Australian state of Tasmania. 40% of the world's legal opiate crop is grown there.
It's actually higher than that now.
Right. And it's an offshoot of Johnson & Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson.
Well, Johnson & Johnson, the the actual name of the strain that they created back in 1994 was called the Bane. Right? It was a poppy that could not be grown in the United States. So they had to find a country where they could grow it. So lo and behold, they sent it to Australia and we'll grow it. And under the agreement, this can't be brought into the same spectrum as the other poppies that are grown around the world for the same use. But the Bane is actually the most potent and powerful version or hybrid of said poppy. The figure now is around 60% of the world's opium poppy supply comes from Australia, and it's the highest grade. It's owned by Johnson & Johnson. It was created by Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson, under a contract, supply the company Purdue. Purdue are the ones that created Oxycontin, oxycodone, and all the other lovelies that created the opioid crisis around the world. So, yeah, thanks, J&J. Stick it in your ass.
And at least they'll have talcum powder to soothe the pain.
Soothe the pain, you'll be as high as a kite from sprinkling that on your Jats crackers in the morning.
Yeah, but there'll be a lot of interesting people wanting to sniff it. Right, so Stuart's just said, will you be able to buy the products to make your own liquid PG and VG and flavourings, but not Nick?
How about we answer that a little bit later when we get on to who I work for?
Yep, not a problem.
I'll explain it a whole lot more later. We'll get right into that. But yeah, Australia and our equivalent of the FDA, we have the same body here in Australia called the TGA, or the Therapeutic Goods Administration. And they're asking for a very similar thing to the PMTA process. They want said device put through a whole string of tests, and I bet you they've got a whole barn of monkeys out there that are going to test these devices, because none of them know what the hell they're doing.
No.
So
if the tobacconists don't, they're screwed. I mean,
but here's the thing: we have to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this is a cessation device.
Right.
In other words, an ENDS, like electronic nicotine delivery system, or an NRT, that this will get you off the stinkies or the combustibles, and you won't want to go back. But then we've got the health minister saying that this is actually an on-ramp to combustibles.
Really? Still?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just stunned. The amount of data that has come out that disproves that old gem, and we've still got people in power rolling it out.
I don't think the health minister here can read, actually.
I'll tell you what, ask the Yanks, we'll do a special version of Sesame Street for him.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He looks like Big Bird, but he's only this little thing. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
It sounds very similar to our health-related hunt.
Oh, you're not kidding? Jeez.
No,
he's crazy.
Unbelievable. So, sorry.
We don't know what's going to happen here. If the United States keeps going, vaping will never see the light of day. Simple. You know, I'm not in the business of, making Lamborghini money. I'm here in the business of harm reduction. That's what I'm all about. I don't care about the money. The money's not where it's all at for me. I'd rather see someone vaping, like I did with a friend the other day, right? A very old friend of mine just went through a really nasty divorce. His missus destroyed all his vape gear, and I sent him off a box of liquid, a mod, a tank, coils, the whole 9 yards to keep him going. Right? I said, no, I'll deal with it. Don't worry about it, mate. It's all under control. I thought to myself, if I was a real ass, I wouldn't have done that. But I'd rather see someone vaping than go to the store or go to the shop and buy. Well, a packet of 20 here is like $35 to $40 now because of like the taxation they've got on it. Every year they slap 12.5% on it. So a packet of 25s here, you're looking at $50 plus the packet. No, sorry, mate, it doesn't work that way.
No.
I mean, it's interesting when you've got your own politicians. They were talking to Hunt, complaining about the restrictions on e-cigs. And some of the stories they were saying were, I either used an e-cig to quit smoking.
Correct.
And one of your politicians turned around and said, well, me and my husband want to quit smoking. My husband won't use an e-cigarette because he can't get on with it.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to stop us now is the price. And given the new tax hike, that's it. I'm out. Yeah. And then what really boiled my piss about the article was at the end of it, Hunt turns around and says, well, that's all anecdotal evidence. No, mate, that's
Correct.
real life.
Yeah. No, it's real. And the big problem that we have here is that our health minister thinks that he's going to lower the smoking rate. And they've lied here in Australia about the smoking rate for quite some time. In the average smoking rate is between 12 and 13% Australia-wide, right, of the population. But in lower socioeconomic or specific indigenous regions, you're looking at 40%. Yeah.
It's true.
He's not allowing a life-saving technology to be brought forward. He wants to control the narrative. You can go to the doctor and you can get a patch, or you can ring the quit line. Really? And then they put you on Chantix. Years ago, when I first tried quitting, they gave you Zyban, right? Which useless. And again, when I tried a few years later, they gave me Chantix, and I ended up in the loony bin for a week because it just sent me off the rails. I tried patches, gums, sprays. I even went as far as trying hypnotherapy. None of it worked. This is the only thing that's ever worked for me, and I have smoked for over 30 years. But our government doesn't want to listen. It really doesn't want to listen.
I mean, let's face it. I've said this all along. I always think that because there was no government behind vaping, there was no healthcare behind vaping. Vaping has grown through word of mouth only, and it's not been. And that's how it's grown. And I just don't think they like it. I really don't, because of the way it's grown.
Okay. You'll agree with me on this one. 2015, 2016 were the golden years for the industry, right? Look at the platform that we're on right now. If it wasn't for the reviewers, if it wasn't for the now vape personalities and the advocates that use this platform, it would never have been so popular. That's the truth.
Yeah.
We're not to blame at all. Any of us that have used like social media and YouTube for that matter, we're the ones that are not to blame. We're the ones that are trying to help people. And myself as a liquid manufacturer, I sit there sometimes with a beer in the afternoon and I think, how many people have I really saved over these years? It weighs on you somewhat. That they're not going to be on an oxygen tank in 5 years.
Yeah.
You've actually turned their life upside down and you put them in the right direction. It's hard to get through your head sometimes.
I mean, let's face it, especially me and Steve, we do not get paid for this. We do not gain anything from this. It's us giving out. It's us wanting to help other people, and that's all it's always been about.
That's the same as me. If Frank's still in the chat, he'll tell you I'm up for doing any show anywhere in the world, and I've got my boots on the ground in many countries in the fight of vaping. Right, my voice is heard loud and clear right across the world. I've been given nicknames over the years that I've got a loud mouth. I like to swear a lot, and I like to drink a lot. Yes, that's true. I don't give a flying two hoots about that one. But I'm willing to help anyone, anywhere, anytime get off combustibles. I don't care. I'll send liquid anywhere.
I mean, that's why we're doing it. It's so like we're almost celebrating it. Let's be right. We are celebrating. We found this device that is so like our lot of turnaround said it's 95% safer than smoking a combustible cigarette. And I blooming enjoy vaping. Besides the health sides of it, I enjoy a vape. I love having a vape. And I love the whole association.
I like the geeky little things that are inside this box.
You and me both. Right. Just because Frank turned round, when Paul was talking there, he turned round and said, he even comes on my shit show. I can't believe this, Frank. I don't think it's going to be crap. So there's your link, mate. If you want to go in and check out Frank, go and have a look. Because
he's an up and coming DIY from the United States.
Awesome. So go and check it out. Because I'd never heard of Daytime Frank. Sorry, Frank. I apologise, mate, but I'm being honest. Yeah. So no worries.
No,
mate.
He's actually one of my friends. He's actually a pretty cluey guy when it comes to certain flavours. And, you know, I speak highly of what he's doing. He's a good guy.
Good stuff.
He's a good guy.
I want to talk about...
as well.
Sorry, Paul, you broke up there a bit, mate.
Sorry.
Go on, carry on, sorry, because I'm just struggling here. We're just sorting stuff out.
What's up, mate?
No, I'm just having a little internet fun. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, Bill points out a well-proven fact that if you've already been diagnosed with a pre-existing mental health issue, forget your Chantix because they're not going to put you on it. But isn't it? It's ironic that those with a mental health issue tend to smoke more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I can agree with that.
Yes, they do.
I just find it crazy that they're actually prescribing this stuff that makes you want to go out and to use the words of Simon, go out and strangle puppies. It did for me. I mean, I wasn't on Chantix. I was on Zyban.
Yeah.
They put me on that a few years ago, and my wife had quit cold turkey, and I was still 2 packs a day. And she was definitely solidly in there for me quitting. They put me on Zyba, and within a week, she's throwing 20 Regal at me, going, "For God's sakes, find a lighter." Yeah, I was an absolute nightmare. Oh,
So was I with all. So was I with everything that I was going through.
And I was a heavy smoker anyway, so I always used to say I'd smoke camel shit and bus tickets, me.
Me too. I think it's working in the kitchens, to be honest. You know, when you pull in an 18-hour day, you need something to keep you going, and that happens to be a packet of Embassy or something, then you'll do it, yeah. I was
40-50 a day.
So we weren't that far apart on our consumption then. But now, speaking of cigs, what came out of the ABC podcast for me was I didn't realise how long and how many of the tools used, curb tobacco use, came out of Australia. Such as the plain packaging, the heavy taxation. All these ideas were first thought up in Australia.
Yep, all of them.
See, 10 years ago, I'd have been swearing, eh? Mind, you were 40 or 50 a day and having to pay the bloody taxes, so... No, Frank drives a truck all week, so he was 30 to 40 a day easily. More if he had a cocktail in the evening. Frank, we're not talking one of those big sort of curvy glasses with all the fruit and the umbrella, are we, mate? Because I don't think that'll go with flannels and a John Deere cap.
No, but no, Frank's a bit fruity anyway, so don't worry about it.
Oh, say no more. Hello. I'm expecting a hearty go forth and multiply now from Frank. Bronco was 3 packs of 25 a day, 1 vape and 6 mil nicotine, and he was off to smoked. So these are the stories that you know we want to hear. Yeah. They decided there were not enough pub fights, so they made everyone's smokes look the same. Just start a few more. I don't know if you saw it. There was, it was, I think it was on one of these sort of television's funniest moments, and there was a BBC reporter in the middle of a pub in Melbourne, and they were talking about the image of the Australian male as a hard-drinking, fighting, macho man. And the question was asked, how do you start a fight? What's the best way of starting a fight in this particular establishment? And this geezer just went, grab my glass, drink my beer, and take your bloody coat off. It was absolutely brilliant. Everybody else had just been so sort of, I'm on telly. And this old bloke was just like, drink my beer. Good lad. There you go. Yeah, there we are. There you are, Frank. Says, I love you, Paul, but bleep you, though. He hauls new cars, so he's in railheads and ports all week. Ah, yeah. Interesting.
Don't start.
Don't start what? Ladies are negotiable virtue hang around places like that.
His missus would kill him.
Oh, fair point.
No, I like stirring Frank up. There's probably a few of my friends actually in the chat tonight because the link got put into a few DIY groups. It got put into my company's page. It got put into who was it? Pricey from THR for Life. He knows that I'm on the show tonight. And a couple of other my Australian friends are probably in there. Simon Atherton's probably in there. He's another.
Simon's there.
Yeah.
He's another top DIY.
It was Simon that quoted they decided there weren't enough pub fights, so they made everyone's smokes look the same. That's awesome.
Well, he's actually from Melbourne. He's an ex-copper, so yeah, he'll tell you the real deal.
I would imagine he's probably broken a few up in his time, bless him.
Yeah, I bet.
No, he was one of the real naughty boys in the job.
You mean one of the clever ones? Wait and see who's still standing, then nick him. I've got family in the force myself.
Oh, dear.
Stuart used to smoke 50 grams of amber leaf a week, went to the shop for a pack of Rizzlers and walked out with a $5.99 CE4 vape pen. Not looked back 5 years ago.
Awesome.
And he's still got 50 grams of amber leaf. So if anybody wants any stale backy, see Stuart.
Be nice and dry now. Oh, dear. So, are we going to get on to Paul's endeavours?
Oh, yes. Paul, when you joined us last time, you just sort of started out with Mullenbury. How's it going?
Well, I couldn't talk too much about it then, but I can actually now give you my title and what I actually do for the company. I'm now the Australian New Zealand Development Manager for Mullenbury, not only for new business and the DIY sector, but for commercial. Since then, my job's now expanded into the United States, Canada, and into the Philippines. So
Awesome.
it's kind of a little bit.
The last bloke that managed to pull this trick off, he ended up coming to a sticky end in a bunker, mate. So I'm a bit concerned here. You appear to have taken over half the world.
No, it's.
Dr. Evil. Get me shots for the C4.
It's quite interesting. The amount of people that are actually happy to see me in this role, it's quite fun. I'm doing some private projects with the DIY community right now. Frank sort of knows what's going on with some of it, so does Simon. But a lot of the stuff, because of my NDA, I can't really get into it. The other thing that I'm working on with the rest of the team at Mullenbury and Camnovatic is a bunch of new flavours and blends. We're going now down the pathway of completely DAP-free and GMO-free bakery bases, and then on the back of that into some more, how will we put it, complex custards. I've asked for a number of different flavours to be worked on. Some of them are coming back to me and they're amazing. Pardon me. So you're going to be seeing a few very, very, very interesting flavours over the next few months. Currently, we're sitting at about 120 flavours, and by this time next year, we're looking to double that.
Really?
So we're looking at 300 all up.
Wow. I mean, if you go across, I've just put the link up for the Mullenbury group. The one thing, I've dabbled in DIY. I make no claims to be a mixer whatsoever, but I was just flicking through the Mullenbury Flavours group, and I came across Aaron Cazola's posts.
Yes.
Amazing idea. You've got one picture And it basically gives you the recipe for what sound to be some absolutely delicious juices.
He's got some cracking recipes in there. We're also developing the one-shot line a whole lot further. We're going to be pushing that hopefully up to around the 50 or so one-shots from within the industry. And I'm working on a project that I'll be able to give the world a little bit more information, probably October, like early October, mid-October. So any budding mixers out there that really want to show what they've got, let's play.
Awesome.
And the other thing, if you go to our website, we now have a section on there. It's called Custom. If you come to us with an idea, we'll send you out the concentrates you think you need to come up with your own flavour. You then send us back the recipe. We then turn that into a finished liquid or into a one-shot format, and then we help you either distribute it, or if you have a distribution network, we'll go down that pathway with you. So it's a turnkey solution from start to finish. We're there to help you.
That's amazing, that is really amazing. I mean, for a company to actually go out and do that is pretty amazing. That is incorporating the community, if nothing. That's amazing, that.
There's some great mixers out there, man. Some great mixers, but some of them haven't been given the time of day.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see some of the older crew that have been in the industry for quite some time, and with what's happening in the United States now, if it goes the way I think it's going, you know, I know a few people over there, just a few. We're watching. If everything falls, one-shots, short fills, concentrates, and the art of actual DIY is going to be first and foremost at the front. And I've said it, Frank said it, you know, anyone that needs help, reach out to us. We're here for a reason. You know, we're approachable. Simon Atherton as well. You reach out to us, we will help you. That's you know, that's partly why we're here. But I'd rather see people like learn and collaborate across the world, help each other.
Just a little message from Grumpy, our Ben. With all this new info, we need to chat with my sauce maker here. We are now up to date with what's happening next month.
Thank you. We can do that. We can have a meeting.
Just let you know, Bill. Ben. Bill. Yeah, Ben. Brain's gone dead here. Ben. Bill. Ben.
Weed.
Paul, I got a chat on.
Oh God, Bill and Ben the flower pot men. Weed. But put it this way, the team over at Mullenberry, Marcelina and her husband, and the team at Chemnovatic, like the sister company to us, we're there to help people. Simple as that. We're there to give proper information. We will guarantee any of the products that we put out are GMO free and DAP free, so they comply in TPD. That's for a start, right? Some people say that some of the concentrates aren't strong enough. my answer to that is you're not using them the right way. And there's like one section that we have at Mullenberry, it's called the M line. We've taken all the guesswork out and we've put 2 or 3 or 4 different concentrates together to give you what we call a building block. No one's ever explained this part of the line. So you might have a banana, a caramel, and a hazelnut, and it's mixed together in the right concentrate. You use that as a building block. You add like a cheesecake or a cookie note. You add, if you want to take it the other way, a bread note to it. And yes, there is a bread on its way. You want... there's so many different things that you can do, but yeah, the M line it's our building block one. That's what it's all about.
So getting back to your role, so do you want to tell us a bit more about your role, what you're actually going to be doing?
Okay, my specific role is I'm developing business relationships with our current customers, also moving more into the commercial side of things, working with larger labs and helping them get away from like DAP orientated concentrates but still giving them the same flavour. Help them turn that corner. Work with the DIY community as much as I can. I've put together a private mixing team in the background. If you have problems, you come to me, and then if I can't answer it, I put it to my team, and we come back with a solution for you for your liquid. If you have an idea, or you're 90% there with a liquid that you want to release, we will then help you with the other 5%, and then we'll give you the guidance and give you the manufacturing experience of what we have, and then bada bing, your liquid or your concentrate is then in the marketplace.
Awesome.
I mean, I shouldn't have opened this Mullenberry group while I'm here, because every time you look at it, there's something else about a recipe that grabs you. But at the minute, I'm looking at this Bounty Shake one, and just the write-up is just awesome. So it's a Bounty-like candy bar and cookie pieces in a creamy milkshake. So you've got the coconut, you've got the biscuit, you've got that thick, unctuous sort of milkshakey from the sounds of it, backed up by the cheesecake.
Yeah, and the chocolates.
Well, let's remember, grown-ups don't like flavours.
Oh, apparently. Well,
we don't like flavours.
Really?
Just thought I'd bring that into it. We don't like flavours. That sounded gorgeous.
That sounded right up my alley. Ooh, Earth, yes. Finger of fudge and all that, yes. Moving swiftly onwards.
There's another one that Aaron's got in there. What was it? It was a jam-filled cookie covered in chocolate.
Oh. Oh. Now, there's one I found here, Nana's Honey Special.
Oh yeah.
Which Nana Honey Special. So it's soft banana with a hint of pink lady, which I'm guessing is grapefruit, is it?
No, it's an apple.
It's an apple, right. Then the cheesecake, and then honey.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That sounds awesome. I love bananas. Massive.
Out of curiosity, will Mullenberry be at Expo this year?
Yeah, we're doing a few expos, but we're more looking or gearing towards like 2020 because of what we've got coming up in releases over the next few months. Probably the biggest expo we'll do again will be Hall of Vape in Stuttgart. From there into Madrid, And then around the same time, the first Vape Expo in the UAE in Dubai in June next.
Now that sounds like that's going to be a massive event.
The one in Dubai. Oh, you're not kidding. That sounds absolutely awesome, that one.
Yeah, definitely. It's well, think about it for a minute. They were under pretty much the same rule as what we've had here in Australia. It's all been banned and crap, and now it's just opened up like a tin can. And if you think of, if Voca's in the room, he'll tell you, because he's over that neck of the woods, and it's going to be. I might be speaking out of line here, but I actually think it might be like the go-to event from around the world. That and Hall of Vape. I think they're going to be the two that people want to actually save up and go to.
Just to let you know, mate, Voca says the beers are on him.
Well, done.
That sounds good, doesn't it? That's just worth getting the ticket for. Yeah.
No, I just want to get my hands on the contents of Voca's bar.
Well, come on, let's go.
You're all right, mate. I'm going to think of an excuse for the wife.
We'll work on that on another day. I think we can get around this somehow.
Well, if I can get 2 camels and a sheep for her, I'm fine.
Oh, no. You're going to be a shit for that one.
Oh, yeah. She'd want 3 goats at least as well.
Is that with a curry coconut sauce, or what are we talking?
I'm thinking more Jamaican jerk.
Okay, that works as well. But
there you go.
Hey.
But
you want a Jamaican jerk, dear?
Oh Christ!
Fair enough. It's not like putting that out on air, is it?
Oh God, here we go. Now we're going to get into trouble.
No, we're not, because we're reining it in sharply.
The show just went pear-shaped very rapidly.
I'm only repeating on what he said. He said he wanted a Jamaican jerk.
Yeah, but Voca, I'm definitely going to be there for that show. There's no two ways I'm missing that one, because
from what I've heard, it's going to be absolutely amazing, that though.
The amount of money that's been poured into it, and no one has let loose where the venue is. A friend of mine actually said where it might be, and if it's at that venue, good Lord.
I mean, the thing that struck me about the where they're actually holding it, sort of the UAE, there's more of a cultural thing with the hookah. So vaping's not a million miles away, is it?
No, not at all, because go back when Aspire released their e-shisha, that never took off. But if Aspire reworked that into something like, Bada Bing, that could be,
Yeah, we saw them at Expo.
Yeah, like a really high-end version of the Aspire with a really high-end chipset. Yeah, then you're talking.
Well, yeah.
But I'd like to see that. Voca, has there been any word what the actual venue is?
I don't know. Have you heard where it's going to be, Steve?
No, Voca's not mentioned anything. Let's have a look.
Someone actually told me that it was going to be at Meydan, at the racecourse. If that's the truth, jeez.
Gordon Bennett some money there then.
Well,
Dubai
that's...
World Trade Center.
Oh, Christ. That's huge.
Hold on. The conference.
So they've given a venue now.
It appears so.
Whoa.
World Vape Show it's under on the... Give me 2 secs. Hold on. There's the link for it.
Wow.
Voca says nothing's confirmed yet. Maybe the Maidan or the convention centre.
Well, at the minute, the website says the Dubai World Trade.
That place is huge. That's going to make Stuttgart look like a joke.
What's interesting, there's the Future of Vape conference, there's the actual exhibition, there's a tasting studio, innovation award, entertainment area.
Holy crap.
I think somebody's going to be enjoying himself, Mr. Blimey.
Not kidding.
Just slightly.
For God's sakes, just don't get lost, all right? We'll be finding this little skeleton in a storage cupboard somewhere 3 years' time. And there's Mini Paul. So I mean that must be a massive business opportunity for Mullenberry to get a foot in the door in the country where vaping's just starting to take off.
I have a few clients that have visited there recently. Liquid Vapes that I know. A friend of mine who's a mixologist, he's just been over there recently, and he was just scratching his head. He was like, "What the hell did I just walk into?" It was just mind blowing. They're building labs over there. They're doing everything. It's just, and money's no object, by the way.
Oh yeah, in Dubai, blooming heck, it definitely is no object, is it? Jeeps, there's plenty of money there. Whew.
So yeah.
Oh, there we are. Voca's just said Bahrain and Kuwait have been more open to vaping for a few years, so it's not a completely virgin market then.
No, but when you put those 3 letters next to like opening up an industry or a new marketplace, it's like, wow, what's just happened? And when you have the sheikhs actually signing off on a deal like this, yes. There was actually a very famous liquid company that got a lot of their startup money from that region once upon a time. And they've gone on to do wonderful things. But now, with the current marketplace in the United States and what's going on in Europe, it's chalk and cheese right now. If this is done the right way in the UAE, this will also put pressure coming back onto the United States that no, it isn't all bad. If they're backing this, the way everyone thinks they are, it's not going to be a bad thing. I think it'll help a lot of people.
I think it'll be definitely a good thing because it's sort of like it's showcasing the world, isn't it? It's one of the places that it showcases the world. That.
Well, Well, even when I worked in racing, well, I was always at Dubai. I was actually there for the opening of Maidan, and it was like the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever seen. Like literally, that was just mind blowing. The difference between like late afternoon racing and then night racing under lights on both synthetic and on turf, that was just wow. The opening was like they shut every single light off at the whole track, and then it was a fireworks display from like absolutely out of nowhere.
Oh, blooming heck.
To see that was jaw dropping. What it was, that it started like there was a laser, and it looked like the laser was what lit the fireworks. It was cool as hell.
Awesome.
But I'm just...
What, Paul? Steve?
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, unfortunately, it looks like you've lost the couch in your room because Mr. Atherton's just shotgunned it.
Bollocks.
I think that was no, Mr. Atherton. You shall not have his couch. And for those listening to the podcast, be thankful. That was rude.
But he does know how to sign language.
He does.
Yes.
That message came across very clearly.
Loud and clear.
Oh, great.
So Paul, I've got to ask you. It's your birthday coming up. So what are we doing to celebrate?
Very little.
Are we partying it? Are we doing anything? Or I mean, let's face it, it's your big 5-0. Have you got something new special or been treated to something?
Yeah, nude mixing 101.
Nude. Okay.
I do hope you're wiping your pipette after every flavour, mate.
Yeah. Brings a whole new meaning to the naked chef.
No, I'm actually going to be a good boy, believe it or not. Because to be quite honest, I've been working from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Pretty much 7 days a week recently because of my new role at Mullenberry. So, no. I'm actually away at the moment. I'm not in my little workspace. It's taking a couple of days to sort of wind down because, put it this way, after my birthday, I've got numerous trips lined up for various reasons. 95% of them for business, trying to catch up with a couple of friends in the US for a little bit of advocacy and things like that. Trying to actually get my head around the whole picture of what's happening in the United States right now. Helping another couple of friends that are up-and-coming mixers to actually understand what's going on. And then next year, probably, well, right now, February, March, I'm looking at doing either we do it online or I actually fly into the US and do a masterclass in mixing to actually unleash what we've got coming up, because a lot of the new flavours will be available by that stage. And I want to show people how easy it is to work with them, both from the DIY side of things and from the commercial side of things. You know, don't be afraid of, you know, dipping your toe in the water, Christ's sakes, if you want to get into mixing, because it's not as hard as everyone thinks. If you can follow recipes, you can understand weighing things out. you can get into it and you can survive. Not making money from it, but you can survive making your own liquids quite simply these days. There's so much information out there, it's not funny. That's where a lot of people get screwed up. A lot of people think that it's rocket science and you need to go to school for it. No, that's wrong. Completely and utterly wrong. You can make a good liquid with 4 concentrates, for Christ's sakes. Simple.
Steve.
Yes, mate.
Hello. Have you got any more questions?
Oh, where to start? So, I mean, with all this, obviously it sounds like you're going to be out of Australia quite a bit now, following your break. I mean, with Labworks, is that sort of taking a back step, or is somebody looking after that for you while you're away, or?
No, no, there's actually quite a lot more going on there than what I can talk about right now. I've just opened up labworks.co.nz, so all my liquids now you can buy with nicotine in them. That's something else that's just happened. And my complete liquid line, my 50 liquids that are in my line, are all going to be available as one-shots by Christmas. So, no, it's not taking a back marker at all. It's growing organically, but in a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I'm glad to hear it's forging ahead, mate. Now, before we go any further, Tetley did say, are we not talking about what we're vaping on then? First ever vape show where we haven't done the buffet.
Yeah, we have. We haven't done a buffet.
No, we went straight into the CDC, which I thought was a far more pressing.
Right. Well, you do your buffet. I'll be back in 1 second.
Right. I'll go first then, because mine's really, really easy. I'm on the Kylin M with the SoulOhm. In that, I have got a vintage raspberry sherbet in there. Very, very simple. And I'm also, I haven't vaped much of it today, is the Passage with the double barrel V3. And in that, I've got Prophecy from Vape Doodoo. That's it. That's all I'm on. I tell a lie. I do tell a lie a little bit. I've got my smallest box mod ever on there. So got that, and I've got smoothie. What about strawberry on there? That's it. That's all I'm vaping on.
Okay, it's the Passito. However, trying a 28 AWG Clapton in it.
Oh, how's it going?
It's not bad, to be honest. It needs a hell of a lot more power to it than just a flat round wire, but it's working well.
Is it draining the battery a bit more?
Yeah, it's not. I'm only getting a few hours out of it with the Clapton in, but the Clapton's coming out at 1.2. Sorry, 1.02.
Yeah, when you think about it, there's a lot of wire to heat up there.
Oh, hell yeah. Squeezer with the Armageddon V2 on. And in that, we've got the mixed jelly berry. And I've got the salts watermelon in the Passito. And that's it. I'm being boring.
Yeah, I'm being very boring. That was good timing, Paul.
Yeah, I can time opening beers and doing things.
So what you vaping on?
Sorry?
So what you vaping on?
Currently, my all-day vape, which is the Kiwi Strawberry Watermelon. And that's on my old Therian with an original Goon 24 running Breeze Tones Aliens in there, down at about, I don't know, 0.1 on that. And then my other setup is my M17 running a drop, and in that is one of my new liquids, THX 1138, which is sweet tangerine strawberry lemonade.
Nice homage on that name, mate.
You're not kidding.
It looks like I'm the only one that doesn't know who Daytime Frank is.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. Afternoon, Tam. Homegrown alchemy.
Oh dear.
I hope you're happy now, mate.
Yeah, I hope you.
Oh, Tammy. Hello, Tam.
Oh dear.
That's a bit harsh.
What's that?
Jay Jerry, you just pour liquids into a bottle. If you can make coffee, you should be a DIYer. That's not a bad description, to be honest. I mean, as long as you work out what your percentages are.
I mean, I've been making my own brew lemon for God knows how long. Nice and simple. It works.
I think the biggest problem I had as a dabbler, you don't know which concentrates to try.
It's now so hard. Put it that way. There's so many in the market. So many are good. So there's some garbage out there. I'm not gonna say no to that one. But when you have companies now that are listening to a lot of the key players in the DIY community, and they're actually working with the DIY community, they're coming out with concentrates that are easy to work with. I'll give shouts out to Lavora for actually listening to the community and working with them. I'll give props to Flavor Art, not so much the Italian branch, but I will give props to the North American branch for listening. I will also give props to, one-on-one for some of the stuff that they do out of the United States. I'll also give props to a Canadian company called Wonder Flavors. They're listening. Mullenberry's listening. Our sister company, Chemnovatic, they're listening. But Chemnovatic are more the commercial side of things. They're the ones that are creating very unique bases and custom bases for the commercial marketplace. And then Mullenberry on its own, and Marcelina, she has a brain on her that is just mind-boggling when you think, coming up with some of the concentrates that she brings to the marketplace, her and her husband. If used the right way, they're game changers. There's no two ways on that. Marcelina was the one that actually came to me. I've been using her concentrate since 2015, but she came to me and said, "Well, we need this done. Are you interested in coming on board and working with us?" And I said, "Sure." Because I've worked and I put a lot of recipes out there in the market, both for the DIY community and then from a commercial interest, like as a mixologist. But it's been pretty cool so far. But let's see what we can do over the next 12 to 18 months. That's what I really want to do.
Yeah. So you're going to be busy this up and coming. You've got a lot of interviews coming as well. So where can we find you and where can we see these interviews?
Well, the ABC, I'm doing another interview with them, and from my understanding, I'm doing Q&A, which is the more political side of things. So I'll actually be sitting across the table from Mr. Hunt.
Oh, nice one.
No, that's not going to be fun. No. Not with me in the group. I'm doing an interview tomorrow with one of the universities, and as soon as that's live, everyone will get links to that. I've got another interview with Lindsay Stroud in the United States. I've got an interview with CBS that I'm doing. I've got an interview with a Canadian vape organisation. Lindsay Stroud's from the Heartland Institute. I'm doing another interview quite soon. And one with a Canadian institute. They're umming and ahhing, whether or not I'll swear on air, but who cares? Then I'm not sure of the agency in the UK. I was going to check it with you guys. It's okay to talk to them, I had one of the managers from Michael Mosley. He also reached out to speak to me. So
you're going to be a very, very busy boy, aren't you?
Look, I like the phrase that was coined by someone in the US. I'm the Obi-Wan of vaping now, and I just thought it was quite hilarious.
So obviously you know the state probably a lot better than most of us, the situation of the vaping industry as a whole. Where do you see the next 12 months? Especially what's going off with America, what's going off in your own country and in the world in general, the attitudes towards vaping at the present moment. Where do you see the next 12 months going?
Within the last 6 months, there's been a lot of stupidity. A lot of agencies haven't been talking to each other. Testing results haven't been shared amongst certain agencies, which it should have been. Reports aren't getting to the tables of the people that they need to be on. All in all, around the world, I think vaping will see a sort of a reset button being hit. United States is actually quite scary. We called this back in 2016 with Vapageddon, but it didn't happen. Now, I think we're actually starting to see, you either going to have to dig your heels in and help fight. And when I say this, join CASAR if you're in the United States, if you're a business owner, or if you're in industry in the United States, or you have skin in the game, as we call it, join VTA. They're there to help you. Reach out to your members in the United States. Don't just email them. Actually get out a pen and paper and write them a physical letter. It has to be opened. It can't just be put in the corner. A physical letter is actually going to get you more attention than sending an email. If you're in Michigan, you can always ring the governor and tell her that she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about and that she's just spreading absolute garbage. You can always call her. But support your state groups. Reach out to the members in each and every state and tell them, no, we're not going away. You're full of garbage. You're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. We know better. And just keep fighting. Advocate, educate, and, just be good to everyone. That's the simple message that you can do there. But the rest of the world, here in Australia, if you're not in the trenches and you're not fighting for what you want and you're not reaching out to these idiotic ministers that don't even want to talk to us, Mr. Hunt, again, you're an idiot. If I get to sit across you, on Q&A, you and we're going to have a ding-dong argument. I don't care because it's going to be live TV, you muppet.
Oh, I hope we can see this. I really do hope we get an opportunity to see it.
Well, I have science and chemistry on my side. That wins over you being a lawyer. So game over.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how I see it. But the rest of the world, you must educate and advocate everyone. Vaping is 95 to 97% safer than smoking combustible. And if you're not willing to fight for your rights, then you shouldn't be in the game. Simple as that. I don't care whether you're a consumer, a shop owner, a liquid manufacturer, a hardware maker. Hardware makers have done pretty much sweet FA up until now. You know, China needs to be called out in this, and they need to throw money into the fight worldwide. They did a while back in the United States with Sparta, but no, it wasn't enough. There was never enough money thrown at the fight over there because you've got industry over there, they don't care. It's all about votes. It's no. But no, fight. Whatever the hell you need to do, fight.
Sorry, I mean, I was listening, but I was just keeping an eye on chat there. Prime example there for me. So you've got somebody talking to people that they may not have spoken to before. It's a quick question. What's the best one-on-one flavour? It's a company you've not tried before. Bump. The info's flowing. You know, the help's there. There's no, you've got to try this, you've got to try that. It's, these are good, these are good, these are good. I prefer X. Yeah. Make your own mind up. It's fantastic. Yeah.
It's one thing I've always, I mean, in the length of time that I've been doing this, the one thing that I absolutely love is the actual community, because we're all out here wanting to help each other, and it's the beauty about it is that we all vape slightly different, we all taste slightly different, and it's all like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried the other thing? And it's a community that I think is absolutely amazing. I really do.
I'll ask. Yeah, but hang on. I'll ask both you lads this same question. When we were smoking cigarettes, we didn't get online and we didn't talk to friends from all over the world, did we?
No.
Nope.
I mean, if it wasn't, let's be right. If it wasn't for vaping, I wouldn't know you two.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I would not know you two.
Yeah, but hang on. This is a big worldwide family. That's what the vaping community really is. If someone's in need in the vaping community, we dig in and we help each other, don't we? From the other side of the world. I've never seen a community like this in anything.
No.
Never.
Not on one single cause, no. Never. I think it's amazing. I really do. I think it's absolutely amazing.
And when you look at what's actually come out of the community, I mean, the YouTube creation, you've got broadcasters on there. How many would have actually done it if we'd stayed on the stinkies? You know, you wouldn't be at some of the talent that's flying around in this community is amazing. The builders, the mixers.
No, like handcrafted mods. Come on.
Yeah, it's just stunning. It really is stunning, and it's weird how this one sort of central topic has brought all these talents to the fore for so many.
It's bizarre. You've got computer programmers working on boards and, you know, circuitry. You've got industrial designers. You've got electronics engineers. You've got people that create stabilized wood. You've got metal machinists and CNC from around the world working together on designs. You've got collaborations on liquids from around the world. You've got pretty much every flavour covered. If it hasn't been created, there's people out there that will help you create what you want. If you want to vape something, we're here to help. That's how it works.
And it's just something what I absolutely, and it's why I've got so much passion for it, because it's so like just an amazing community. It really is.
But it's going to sound like I'm arse kissing here, but you go onto the Molenbeek group again, and Marcelina's had an email from somebody from Italy, and said, and the translation reads, "Hi, I am your customer. I wanted to suggest you put your site the possibility to read in Italian, because every time I have to make a purchase, I panic. Thank you and excuse me." And what have Molenbeek done? They've gone off. They've done an Italian version. Yeah. How many of the big corporates, the electronic giants, all the rest of it, could you see them reacting to an email like that in a similar fashion? Because that's not going to be a quick job.
Pat's just put something in the chat. The thing is, when I started vaping about 3.5 years ago, everyone was helping everyone. Now it appears if you're looking for help, some people think about money or ripping you off. It is not like it's not like it started off. I think with any industry or any, there will always be that the people that are there to gain money. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always people wanting to make just pure money. But as a whole, when you actually start looking at the actual vape community, there are more people wanting to help, and like we are in this community here, we just want to help. We want to show you what we've got. We want to show you the information that we've got, and we want to share ideas, and that's it. But obviously, like anything, people do want to make money off of the back of something. You can't help that.
Voka has just put a comment in chat that wonderfully illustrates the dark side of vaping, though. Vaping will be responsible for my divorce if I buy another mech mod. There was a lovely post on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that.
He posted a couple of really ornate mech mods, and there was a subtle hint to his good lady wife. And his good lady wife stamped on that one pretty damn quick. Sorry, Voka, I couldn't resist it.
Yeah, did you see that vase one he posted?
That's the one I'm on about.
Yeah, it looked like a vase.
That's absolutely stunning.
Do you think? Oh, no. Nah. Not my cup of tea.
As a collector's piece, yes.
Oh yeah, as a collector's piece, yeah.
It would look so nice in his bar, though.
He's going to get in December.
Oh, you bad man.
Right,
okay.
We've hit up to the 2 hours,
okay.
Just let you know.
We're all on our way to your place.
I hope you caught that, Voka. Apparently we're all coming over to your place. I hope you've got a big couch for Simon.
It'll be all good.
Tam's just said, I do this to help. I spend $1 for my YouTube show, etc. Not making $1. Not looking to make money. Yeah. We all do it for that reason. Totally. So, Steve, we've hit the 4 o'clock.
Oh, we have. Oh, no worries. See, this is because we did a buffet.
Yeah, it's because we did a buffet.
I blame you, Tetley. Right. Firstly, thank you to everybody for turning up in chat today. Massive thank you to Paul for coming on again. As always, fantastic show. So much information's come across in the last 2 hours. And it's always great to get that view from different parts of the world, because we in the UK do appear to get a little insular at times, and you sort of project what we experience here into other countries, and it's just not the case. We have it so easy over here. it's getting tough, and it could get tougher, but we do have it easy.
We have it way easy.
Massive thank you to all the people that just popped in to see Paul. If you want to pop back next week and just sort of have a look, feel free. Yeah. We
can't next week. Next week there is no Tales.
Tales from the Ohm. No, my fault. Parents decided to last long enough to get a 50th wedding anniversary, so I've got to go to that, I'm afraid.
So we're having a week off.
I do apologise. I'll make sure the parents are flogged for this. How dare they do it on a Sunday? But
I think that's awesome. 50 years. It's lovely, isn't it?
I'm amazed my mum's put up with my dad for so long.
You're going to get killed for that one.
Nah, they don't watch YouTube, mate. They can barely turn on the laptop.
So, Paul, are you going to say your goodbyes?
Goodbye to everyone. Thank you for all turning up. Hope that you might have learned something for a change. I don't know. We'll see. If you want to find me on Labworks Vapes across the interwebs, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My name is, you can actually see my name here. That's my real name. So reach out to me on Facebook if you need anything, or if Mullenberry can help you in any way, shape or form. You're more than welcome to reach out to me as well, or head over to the Mullenberry page on Facebook, and myself or one of the other crew there will help you out. Alrighty? Over to you guys. Thank you.
I'll wrap it up. Just want to give a big shout to you both. Thank you very much for a very educational show. Not our normal show. Normally our shows so like smut and films. But yeah, thank you so much. I just want to give a shout out to chat as well. Thank you so much. You've been really great. Lovely questions and all sorts. You've been absolutely amazing. Don't forget that the Ohm service live on Thursday, 7 p.m. on Thursday. And that show, we'll be doing the giveaway of the expo tickets as well. So if you want to enter that, you can do on the Thursday. And yeah, that's about it. I'm all educated full here. Don't know about you guys.
I'm in shock because Grumpy's just said he didn't even watch the Italian F1, so it must have been a good show.
Blimey, that.
It's all Ball's fault. Right. It's so weird seeing this Paul, because it's like a stop frame action with it being such a low res. All we're getting is these amazing sort of face shots of Paul. It's fantastic. It really is. Right. Well, again, thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed yourself. I really can't wait to see him across the table from Hunt. I
can't wait to see that one. I really can't.
Do you get the feeling the phrase "you're going past a hospital on the way home" coming into use? Oh God, he's smiling like a demon now. I think we better wind this one up before we get pulled by the Aussie authorities.
Right, I'm going to say ta-ra, so I'll let you all wave. Bye! Bye! He's mad.